Hello everyone, I'm Taylor Bambico. For today's simple and honest review, I'm going to be looking at the Heckler Koch USP. Now before I go any further, I will clear this firearm. Empty. Let's continue, shall we? So the USP has been in production since 1993 and been offered in multiple calibers such as 9mm, 40 S&W, and 45 Auto such as this particular model. While I am a fan of the 1911 platform, I do like the USP considering the capacity is much larger at 12+1 versus a 19-7 or 8+1. Now while the gun was introduced in 1993, the year before the assault weapons ban, which limited magazine capacities to only 10 rounds unless you were law enforcement or the magazines were made before the ban went into effect, this particular USP was made in 1999 according to the date code here on the slide. So when I bought this gun 5 years ago, it did come with 4 magazines, 3 of which were the original magazines that came with the firearm. They were stamped restricted military law enforcement only. The 4th was a ban compliant one, only holding 10 rounds. So that means this particular firearm was owned by someone who's either military or law enforcement and was able to buy it during the ban. Another great thing about this USP is the LAM model. It did come with the Trichicon night sights and the lighter trigger. Of course, with this gun being 21 years old, the sights are dead in it, but I'm just using it as a traditional 3-dot sight system. And while I have considered putting new night sights on it, since I don't shoot it that often, I figured I'll just leave it as is. Now, of course, being a 45, it does have a little bit more recoil, a lot more compared to a 1911. Of course, those are all steel firearms predominantly, where this is a polymer and steel firearm. Of course, it is still quite controllable considering it is a full-size firearm. Now, I'll be honest, the reason I have this firearm is because of the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Now, I do realize Solid Snake did use the Mark 23 SOCOM in Metal Gear Solid. In the sequel, Sons of Liberty, he does get the USP, but in 9mm. As much as I have contemplated getting the Mark 23, I can't really justify $2,500 on a 45, unless of course it was a custom 1911. So, while Snake did have a 45 in Metal Gear Solid and a 9mm for the most part in Sons of Liberty, I decided to compromise and get the USP in 45. Though of course one day I probably will end up with a USP in 9 and a Mark 23. So of course this gun video wouldn't be complete without some actual shooting. Let's go to the range, shall we? So now, of course, the cost of these firearms, normally I see this particular model going for about $1,200 when you can find them. Now, when I got this one 5 years ago, it was a pre-owned firearm, and with tax and 4 magazines, I only paid about $600 for it. This was the first 45 caliber pistol I had. I was a bit like, oh, I wish it'd been 9mm, but I said, okay, let's get the 45 since I don't have a firearm in that caliber, and it was totally worth it. Overall, the USP is a very good gun. I definitely would recommend it to anyone who's looking to get their first H&K pistol. However, H&K does produce a newer firearm which I would choose over the USP, and that is the HK45. A drawback to the USP is it does not have a traditional Picatinny style rail on the firearm. You have to get an adapter in order to attach a light, whereas the HK45 has a more traditional rail on it, so you don't need an adapter to attach a light. So the USP is a bit dated on that aspect. However, don't let that prevent you from buying it if you really want this particular firearm. Another really neat aspect of this firearm is it does allow you to decock the firearm, for instance. There are individuals who are a bit leery of having the hammer back on a firearm if they're carrying it, like the 1911. Some people don't like having the hammer back. Of course, the USP is not a gun I'd carry condition 1 like a 1911, even though it does offer that particular option. So being able to decock the firearm is an advantage. Of course, if I were to carry a USP, it wouldn't be the full size, it would just be the compact. So that was my simple and honest review on the Heckler Koch Universal Self-Loading Pistol. Well, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell icon so you're notified when I upload new content. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and have a good day. See ya!